Gemini, this is your week ahead astrology forecast by Astrology Motivation. In these weekly videos, I review the major planetary aspects and transits and how they impact your natal sun, and then I'll let you know what that means for your bottom line. We're going to start off really broad with the charts for the week, and then we're going to focus down into Gemini-specific information, and then I will break everything down into the 3 decans of Gemini, so I will be able to know exactly how all that stuff is aspecting your natal sun and let you know what that means for your week. This is the week of September 14th through the 20th of 2023. For some reason, I almost said 2019. God, I do not know. It's 2023. Let's go through the big stuff, Gemini. This is actually a pretty interesting week, and I think it's pretty impactful, but it's like soft impact, not like combustible, explosive impact. We have a new moon on the 14th, which is today, if you're watching this when I upload the video, and it's a new moon in Virgo, which is also ruled by Mercury. The new moon in Virgo is Virgo's all about planting, right? It's all about the nurturing of life itself, and that heartbeat and that energy, and what we need to do to sustain it. So a new moon in Virgo is a new life. And since the moon, to be a new moon, has to conjunct the sun, this is a new life, a new you, an opportunity to grow and blossom in new directions. And that is especially true because this new moon is trining Uranus, which is all about independence and personal expression and, being different and loving it. And then it's also trine to Pluto, which means dynamic metamorphosis, kind of change, permanent change. And everything, while Pluto and Uranus are trine to each other, so the new moon is actually part of a grand trine that is happening all week long with the sun, which is all about dynamic shifts and changes in you, in who you are, in the self, in the individual. And that is right across, so in opposition to Neptune, which is all about concepts and, not concepts, dreams. It's all about dreams and creativity. Now, the opposition between the sun and Neptune can be creative, but it is usually to the point of distraction as well as self-deception. And so I've asked, how have we deceived ourselves by putting limitations where we should not have? Opening ourselves up to the possibilities moving forward. This is very fertile soil to plant in. That grand trine between Pluto, Uranus, and the sun all week long is like the cradle of life. That is fertile soil, baby, for newness, freshness, and permanent change. So I think ultimately this new moon promises beautiful, beautiful energy. We also have Mercury, which is your ruling dignitary, going direct the next day on the 15th. Now that doesn't mean he's got its mojo back, right? He's got to wind it up and start to move forward. And this week, really no. Mercury is going to still be in Virgo at about 8 degrees all week long. So Mercury's really not on the move yet, but at least he's not continuing to move backwards. Now, up through the 19th, Mercury is in direct opposition to Saturn. What does that mean? Restricted speech. Stifled communications or tension, being able to express yourself, not being allowed to express yourself, being too hard on yourself, being too demanding or exacting with all the details, so you slow stuff down. That's going to happen through the 16th. So by the 17th, that opposition will break, so it's not giving us so much trouble. But Mercury is still going to be semi-square the south node and says a quick quadrate to the north node. These are actually more minor aspects, but that means in terms of Mercury, it's going to have a little bit of difficulty allowing itself to do something new, try something new, be somewhere new. So it's all about this freshness that it may, not to say it's resistant, but there's this energy of, do we even know how to think differently? It can feel weird and feel different when you start to move in a different direction. So And that's really what the North and South Node represents, a different direction in life, a direction that's away from what you've grown comfortable with and moving toward where you are more challenged, but you have room to grow. Remember, North Node is where we grow. South Node is where we're rooted. So if we want to grow, we have to expand in a direction opposite from where we're comfortable. Gemini itself, the zodiac sign of Gemini, not much is going on there. Yeah, not much is going on there. I think I forayed, this is where I got messed up, I forayed right into Mercury, which is Gemini specific information. Gemini specifically, the zodiac sign, there's not much going on. There's no major things going on, nothing really there. Mercury, we've already gone over. I just want to go back to make sure that I didn't miss any of the big stuff, because I did. I missed that Mars is in opposition to Chiron from the 19th on, and on this, from the 16th on, and on the 16th, the moon is going to be in conjunction with Mars as it is in opposition with Chiron. This can be an especially moody, angry day where risk of injury can be high, or pain or suffering from an old injury can be high. So just be aware of that energy, especially emotional on that day. But Mars in opposition to Chiron, while Mars and Saturn start to enter this quick quadrate, that can be pretty tense energy and pretty combustible, since we're dealing with malefics. We're dealing with energies that like to make things extra difficult, and when they fight each other, this could be very combustible energy. So that's one thing to watch toward the end of the week. But we also have to figure in Venus. Venus is going to be square to Jupiter all week long. That means decadence and indulgence, and sometimes going a little bit too far, but ultimately it was definitely joie de vivre. And then we have Venus sextile to Mars, which is sexy energy. That is extremely stimulated energy. And then we have Venus trine to Chiron, which means there's an acceptance and an easement and maybe even a healing when it comes to how we value things, what we value, or how valued we are. So that's actually a really beautiful energy, and combined with everything else, I do think this is a week to shut down the old, though it's going to be a little bit more difficult than we'd like, and welcome in the new. But listen, this is what I want you to know for all of us. Gemini, whatever zodiac sign you're on, I know I'm talking to Geminis right now. It's a great time to plant the seed. And it is a great time to step forward. It is not a great time to dive forward or light a rocket under your ass and rocket forward. Taking that first step out the door, planting that first seed, giving it a little bit of water, that is where we start. This is a beautiful, beautiful soil to start something in, one step at a time. For those of us who try to rush, especially with the fact that we're just coming out of retrograde season now, we're just starting to see our first two planets go back direct. Venus is back direct. Mercury will be back direct this week. Saturn and Pluto aren't going to take long to follow. So ultimately, yes, we're just starting to get out of retrograde season, stretch our arms a little bit, but that doesn't mean we're ready to rush. So definitely it's time to initiate, but initiation can be one step out of the door and then another. And that's the pace we should still be moving at, because we still got a lot to learn, because with Pluto and Uranus so activated, this isn't just new things. This is brand fucking new shit that we've the world's never experienced before. So we really need, especially with Neptune thrown in, because Neptune's sextile to the both of them. This is stuff straight out of imagination. So we need to go particularly slow as we learn all about these new potentials. So that's just all I want to say. Great time to initiate, bad time to rush. Let's go into the 3 decans of Gemini, shall we? So if you know your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees Gemini, you are a Gemini 1, because your natal sun is in the first decan of Gemini. This correlates to Geminis born in May, essentially. May 22nd to June 1st is pretty much Gemini 1s. You guys have a long-term square to Saturn and a current square to Mercury, because you're like right in the middle of the opposition between the two of them. This is a time of agitation, and Mercury retrograde is going to whip its tail in your face. and maybe fart on you. Just to let you know, this will be a pretty rough, rugged week for you in terms of, getting resistance or like operational failures and bosses being angry with you, all of that stuff. It could feel like everything's starting to break this week. So definitely not a great time to get into any major confrontations, though you could be quite irritated this week. Definitely not a great time to sign any important paperwork. You don't want to sign a contract in this. You will get screwed. Anything like that, you want to wait till this clears, and that will be by the end of this week. But definitely... by the end of this week. By the end of this week, your natal suns will still be square to Saturn, but Mercury will have moved on, and that's good. You also have a semi-square to Chiron, which can make it feel even more oppressive, like, okay, I'm never going to be good enough. It's actually, I'm going to say this, it's not you, it's the universe. And you just got to be patient with this. With that semi-square to Chiron, it could take about a year to clear, but honestly, it's the time to learn. I know we want to move forward, especially if we see other people in our lives moving forward, but this is actually a learning and educational period for you to set you up for success in about a year from now. Just an FYI. Gemini 2s. If you know that your natal sun is between 10 and 19 degrees Gemini, you guys are Gemini 2s. So that correlates to birthdays between June 2nd and the 11th. That's what it is. Your natal suns are sextile to Chiron, which means you're drawing inspiration and motivation from the hard lessons you've learned in the past, and you're deriving opportunity or creating opportunity because of what you've learned by your struggles. We are also semi-square to the north node, so there is this prick or push toward maybe even a little added curiosity, which you've never had before, toward things that you normally would not be interested in, but now you are, because this is a sign of expansion. We also have this week a sextile to Venus. So this is some super sexy, confident energy where you will be looking good, looking fly, and you will definitely want people to notice. Have fun and enjoy yourself is all I have to say. Gemini 3s. If you know that your natal sun is between 20 and 29 degrees Gemini, you're Gemini 3s. So that correlates to birthdays between June 12th and June 22nd, usually up through the 21st. But I know that, you might be a Gemini if you're born on the 22nd too. So in and around there. This is a difficult week for you. There's a lot of tension. Your natal suns are square to the current sun all week long, and they will be square to the new moon. So there will be some you feel really pushed and challenged so that you do try something new. It's definitely an energy where you want to manifest, especially where you're agitated and irritated and being pushed. Release that energy into saying, fuck it, I'm going to do something different. I'm being pressured because it doesn't fit me anymore. I've got to do something new. You're also going to have a semi-square to Venus and Jupiter, which is, this is what I want. It's almost like that's the thorn in your side, knowing where you derive pleasure, knowing where you derive joy, or knowing that you're not and realizing that you should, which is also going to help to push you. So you're being pushed in the right direction for your growth. It's just not going to be very comfortable, just to let you know. But growth is rarely comfortable. We have a trine to the south node and a sextile to the north node for the next 4 months. What does that mean? You're getting more opportunity, and you're really starting to see opportunity when it comes to those areas that you never thought you'd be interested in. And you're secure in taking them because of the comfort that you have with where you've come from, and you know who you are and what you can do. So there is a certainty there there for you. You've just got to allow yourself to stretch outside of that comfort zone. And then we have a long-term square to Neptune, which can confuse the mind, but usually it's just distracting the mind because it's so much more creative. So this is a very creative period for you, and if you put that creativity to use, not only could it turn into something extraordinary, it could turn you into something extraordinary. So it's not just about becoming the big famous artist, right? It's not. It's about allowing yourself to create so that all your other blockages are unleashed and you can grow beyond whatever you've gotten stuck in. And then we have trine to Saturn, which is only the cusps. That would be so June 1st, June 21st, 22nd, 23rd. June 23rd is most definitely Cancer. So usually maybe June 20th, 21st, 22nd. This is a trine to Saturn. Will be all week. Yes, all week, but all year long. Trine to Saturn are harmony with the law, harmony with the rules, this sense of feeling really good about your own personal authority and being mature, as well as feeling really good about what is expected of you for the next year. Though this week could kind of be contentious, or you're maybe straining and struggling against something that new that wants to happen, that's because you're stuck in your old ways. It's not because the new thing isn't supposed to happen. This is definitely time to plant those seeds and trust. You don't have to rush. You don't have to change immediately, but it's definitely time to take the first step out the door. I love you guys so much, and I hope that you enjoyed this reading and got information from it. If you know somebody who would like the video, please share it with them. And remember to give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can grow astrology motivation. And then come on over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot for your week ahead tarot card reading. I can't wait to see you there. Bye, Gemini.